You see, there's no doubt that the fragrance buying process can be intimidating. These bad boys are pretty expensive and you end up paying a lot of money for them. So today I'm going to be going over some of the tips and tricks that I do when I'm looking to purchase a new fragrance, so that way I know, one, that it's something I'm actually going to like, and two, that I also make sure that I find the best price on it, because their prices can vary all over the internet from a whole bunch of different places, whether you're looking at retail websites or discounter websites or on Facebook and eBay and everything else like that. So you really want to do your research here. You really want to make sure you're getting the best deal, and all in all, you want to make sure you're ending up with the fragrance that you really like. At this point for me, it's pretty much natural. I kind of do all these things on my own without thinking about it, but it's taken me a while to get there. When I first started collecting and when I first started purchasing fragrance, I really had no idea what I was doing, but now I've kind of got a system and a routine in place, and I've had many successful blind buys. I really haven't bought that many fragrances that I haven't liked. So today we're going to be going over some of those tips, and I do want to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments, what are some of the things that you do before you buy a new fragrance? Make sure you let me know. And also, I do appreciate you hitting the subscribe button down below, also turning on post notifications and liking this video. And now let's get into it. So the first thing I do when I see a fragrance that catches my eye and it's a fragrance that looks like something I may want, the first thing I do without fail every time is I look up the note breakdown, whether it be on Fragrantica, whether it be on parfumo.net, whether it be on the actual retail website. If they don't have a page on any of those other websites, I always make it a point to look at the notes. That's really the number one thing and the most important thing here, because looking at the notes will tell me if it's a fragrance that I'm going to like or not. And you may be thinking, well, how am I supposed to know what type of notes I like and if I'm going to like the fragrance if I'm just starting out? And see, that's the kicker right there. I thought the same thing when I first started collecting, and honestly, it intimidated me so much just looking on these websites and seeing all these different notes listed, and I was just sitting there like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. How do other people know if they're going to like this? And I can tell you firsthand, it just comes with experience. Like with anything, like in any hobby, it just takes practice. It just takes experience. So what you need to do is you need to start getting out there and trying some of these fragrances, and then looking at the notes of all of them, seeing what types of fragrances you like. When you smell a bunch of them, look for the trends in which you like. You may discover that you like citrus fragrances. You may discover that you like musky fragrances, right? So it just comes with practice. The only way you're going to get there is by smelling a lot of fragrances, or at least by smelling more fragrances. So yeah, don't stress it too much. Just get started. If you are just starting out, don't worry about notes too much. I recommend you get out to department stores and stuff like that and just do some smelling around. Get some tester strips, write on them, spray them. You could take them home with you, and then you can look up all the notes of those fragrances, see what they have in common that you like, and then that'll kind of give you an idea of what types of fragrances you like. But yeah, for me, the number one thing I do first is look at the note breakdown. And from there, I can usually tell right away if it's either A, a fragrance that I'm not going to like, or B, a fragrance that I am going to like. If it's a fragrance that I don't think I'm going to like, then I'll probably just write it off. I'll pass it off. And like I've said before, I'm trying not to do that as much anymore, because there's been a lot of fragrances I've looked at the notes at and I just said, I'm probably not going to like it, and then now I love them. So I'm trying not to do that as much, but it still gives me an idea if it's something that I do want to purchase. And if it is, then I move on to the next step. The next step would simply be to read the reviews, see what other people are saying about it. If it's a fragrance that I don't think I'm going to like, I'm not going to get to this point and beyond, right? I'm just going to move on to the next one. But if it is something that kind of caught my interest and the notes look pretty promising, I'll check out and see what other people are saying. And again, I do want to tell you that, these reviews are people's opinion. Just like my reviews here on this channel are my opinion, everyone else has their own opinion as well. So it's always good to take this part with a grain of salt. If you see one review saying that it's a awful fragrance, don't write it off and say, oh yeah, I'm not going to get it, because that would just be silly, because that's their opinion. Your taste can differ from their taste. So I do want you to be careful here with this point. Just kind of go into it with a grain of salt. You can also kind of see if people are trying to purposely bash it or purposely bring it down, make negative reviews just to make negative reviews. So you just kind of want to watch out for that. And overall, you just want to go through and kind of see what people are saying, see how it develops, see how it performs, which is another one. You just want to go through, kind of get a basic idea of how the fragrance is on other people. Just like if you were buying something on Amazon, right? You see the product that you like, it looks good. The next thing you probably do is scroll down and read the reviews and see what people are saying about it. So the next thing I'll typically do after that is I'll sit there and I'll think if this is going to be a redundant fragrance. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, okay, I saw the note breakdown. I saw the reviews of what people are kind of saying it smells like. Then I'll sit there and think, is this something that I have in my collection already? Is there something in my collection that smells similar to this one? Would it be a dumb move for me to purchase this if I already have something that smells like it? That's kind of the stuff that I'll think about. Now, keep in mind here, as a fragrance reviewer, even if it doesn't pass this test of being redundant, I'm still probably buying it just so I can share it with you guys. But for you out there who don't have a channel, you aren't buying fragrances just to share your opinions on, you're buying it, solely for your own personal enjoyment, you want to take this part pretty seriously here, because there are a lot of fragrances out there that smell similar, and you don't want to spend your money buying a bunch of fragrances that smell the same. It's redundant, it's a waste of money, so you want to make sure you think about that in your head. Go through and say, hey, do I really need a fragrance that smells like this if I already have one that does? Unless there's something different about it, unless the performance is better or whatever, I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't buy redundant fragrances, because I have a lot of redundant fragrances and I do enjoy some of them, but there is a time and a place for it, and you don't always need to do that. So this is another pretty important step here. I just don't want to see you guys wasting your money. So now at this point, what I'll do on occasion, although I don't do this very much and I probably should, I know, this part is where I would consider getting a sample of it. So this would be by far the safest route to take, is sampling fragrances before you purchase a bottle of them. Now, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I do a lot of blind buys. In fact, basically all of my purchases are blind buys. I've smelled a few samples before, but that's just because I got them like for free or from somewhere random and then smelled them and ended up liking them. I haven't purchased samples very often. I have done it, but not very much. So again, most of my fragrances have been blind buys. That's just kind of how I roll. That's how I do it. And again, a lot of the reason why is because regardless if I necessarily like the scent or not, I'm still probably going to be buying it to feature it on this channel at some point or another, so I'm going to end up with it anyway. Again, for you guys out there though, I do recommend, if you can, to get samples before you buy, whether it be going to a department store, whether it be ordering them online. That's something that you can consider doing, and it can potentially save you a lot of money, especially if you're just starting out. Again, once you get to the point where you've smelled a lot and you know what you like, you can probably look at the note breakdown and kind of determine if you're going to like it or not. But if you're just starting out, that may be a little bit harder to do. So it's completely up to you. I'm not going to tell you that blind buying is a bad idea, because I do it all the time. A lot of people will try to tell you that it's a bad idea and you should always sample first, but I mean, that's just kind of one of those things that you have to make the decision yourself. It's your money, it's your time, right? If you don't like the fragrance, well, you have a couple options. You can either sell it or give it away, or you can just keep it in your collection. So it's really up to you here at this point, but you will find that once you start to know what you like, you'll look at the note breakdown, and typically you'll have pretty successful blind buys from that point out, because you're going to know what to look for and you're going to know what your taste is. Coming up to the next one here, this is one that's specific for me and probably specific for other reviewers as well, and this one is decide if it's a good fit for the channel. So again, a lot of you out there, this tip probably isn't going to apply for you, but again, this is one that I do have to consider. When I have fragrances in my shopping cart, I'll literally go through and kind of think in my head, okay, is this one that they're going to want to see videos on? Is this one that they're going to see videos on? And if the answer is no to any of those, a lot of times I'll kick it out of the cart. I'll be like, no, I don't think this one's going to be very interesting to my subscribers, and then I kick it out of the cart. That's just kind of what I go through and do. Now, if it's a fragrance I really want personally, then yeah, I'll still get it, but that's not always the case. So I do try to make sure that I am making smart purchases here to make sure that I can deliver you guys good content. Up next, what I'll typically do is I'll research the prices. Now, I'll spend a couple days doing this on average. I'll check the two main discount websites, FragranceNet and FragranceX. I'll check both of those, see how the prices are, see if the fragrance is in stock, because sometimes it's not always going to be in stock. So I will do that. And again, the reason why I spend a couple days doing this, if I can, is to see if the price will drop down at all. Now, you could end up shooting yourself in the foot here. The price could end up going up. It has happened, and it can happen. There's no guaranteeing it, but I do sometimes try to wait it out. If I don't need to buy the fragrance right now, I'll try to wait it out, see if the price goes down or not. Sometimes it will, which is cool. Sometimes it won't. That's fine. But I try not to make any impulsive purchases, and kind of waiting a few days to see if the price will fluctuate kind of helps me slow down a bit. And, you know, maybe I want to add more fragrances to the cart. Maybe I want to take some more out. Just kind of gives me some time to think about what I'm purchasing, and if I can save some money with the prices going down, that's pretty cool. And finally, the last thing on this list is me deciding to purchase it. So if I made it all the way to this point and the price looks good, I'll buy it. That's kind of the process I go through when I'm looking to purchase a new fragrance. Again, this is just something that I personally do, and it may seem like a lot of steps. You're probably like, oh my God, like this, why are you doing all this work to purchase stuff? Like, it just seems like a lot, but it's really not that much work. It takes me maybe 10 minutes or so. Look at the note breakdown, read the reviews, decide if it's redundant, decide if it's a good fit for the channel. The only thing that may take a little bit of time sometimes is just waiting for the price to fluctuate, which isn't something that I have to do or that you have to do. It's just something that I do from personal preference. So it's not something that takes a lot of time. And again, when it comes to spending your money on stuff, especially like fragrances, you want to make sure you do your research. So that's it for me, guys. That is what I do before I buy a new fragrance. Again, make sure you let me know what you do down below in the comments. That's going to do it for me, guys. I'll see you tomorrow night with another one. Take care.